Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about wisdom today. Wow. And we are gathering sort of in the midst of everything going on, fall, holidays coming up, and it's a wonderful time to think about wisdom. So Nancy DiMeo, our own Nancy, who's been with us, I think all along, right, Nancy? You've contributed so much. Nancy's heart is wide open and showering us with welcome and with dedication. So we really appreciate you, Nancy.
Good morning, everybody. We are going to be talking about wisdom this morning, and I do not consider myself a wise person, but I've been enjoying studying the topic since at the end of one of the Help for Helpers meeting, I must have commented about wisdom, and Lynn said, "Oh, that'd be a good topic for one of our morning meetings." So I jumped in and offered to do that, and we'll see we'll see what I can manage. I've been enjoying exploring it further. Um, so Lynn suggested that we spend just a couple of minutes just for everybody to go inside and be with your ideas of wisdom. And then I'll put out some of the ideas that I've come up with and see what we come up with together, exploring it together. One of the things I really like a lot about this group is the opportunity to share and to hear so many ideas and opinions without judgment. That makes it so much more pleasant. So I'm going to start with some ideas of a couple of great philosophers. And I started with Aristotle, and who considered wisdom to be a combination of knowledge, of the unchanging universal truths, along with good judgment and actions in the practical world. To him, a wise person possesses deep theoretical understanding and ability to make sound decisions. Well, I kind of feared that I don't have adequate knowledge of the unchanging universal truths, especially since so many of those universal truths are changing with new scientific knowledge and exploration. So I'm going to go with some information that I've learned about Leonardo da Vinci. His works are much easier for me to work with. And it didn't feel like I had to go into a lot of deep scientific kinds of things that I really didn't know enough about. So Leonardo's ideas are certainly not better, but they're easier to work with for me. He believes that wisdom comes from lifelong learning and experiencing the world with a curious and observant mind. So just kind of being there. Use the term of an endless pursuit of knowledge through action. So that kind of meant to me that all of the actions that we take place in our lives give us opportunities to learn and to develop more wisdom. He also emphasized greatly questioning our own opinions, never getting stuck on one belief or one idea and never going further with it. But he really believes strongly that we need to question our own ideas and explore further. He also appreciated the interconnectedness of all things through careful observation, especially in nature. And since I love nature so much, I liked that particular idea. But we're all connected in many different ways. So I do love the idea of endlessly pursuing knowledge and listening to others' beliefs and ideas, even though sometimes listening to the other ideas can be challenging, but I find it always awakening and useful to do. So I'd like to focus a bit on the connections that are so vital to each of us. The ability to see and understand the humanity in each and every person is a really vital component of wisdom. I'm going to go back to the connections for a minute. We all have a need, a desire to feel connected to other people, maybe to a pet, but we need connections as human beings. And we need to work at understanding the humanity that each person has. And it is a vital component of wisdom. For me, sometimes I don't understand the behavior of somebody. And I might still find that really difficult. But if I can look into a person's background a bit, like I'm going to use Trump as an example, because he was hard for me. When I learned of his childhood, it became easier for me to look at and accept his humanity as a human being. I still despise the behavior that he's doing, much of it, but I am able to see the humanity beneath it. And I think that that's a piece of wisdom from what I'm learning more and more about. Another piece that I think is important is knowing and understanding how important belonging is to each and every human being. I suspect we've all experienced rejection in one form or another, and it hurts, even today. Hundreds of years ago, if we were rejected by our tribe, we'd have been out in the wilderness, probably left to die. It would have been very hard to live out there alone. So recognizing the importance of connection and belonging seems like a very core foundation of what wisdom is. So a wise person needs to take those into consideration. Leonardo also likened doing without theory to a sailor going out in the ocean without a compass. Meaningless, directionless, they'd just be moving around in a dangerous way. One of Leonardo's theories is that of self-scrutiny and how much we need to scrutinize ourselves, to question our own opinions. He commented that we cannot love or hate something or someone until we understand its true nature. He actually believed that love and knowledge grow together. And he spoke of the importance of understanding the true nature of someone, of something, before we can judge it. Because all too often we're too quick to judge something. I'll find myself quickly going to a judgment and then have to halt myself. So understanding the true nature of somebody or something he considers important before making any judgments. I took one of his quotes that I especially liked. He said that virtue is our real wealth and the true reward of its possessor. It can't be lost, and it never deserts until life leaves. And I question that too. But so I enjoyed that. So it's not the wealth of the money and the riches that are most important. And I'm going to be touching a bunch of different topics and kind of scooting around with different things. So hopefully you'll have some ideas to add to some discussion on any of these later. Being mindful, staying in the moment, tends to awaken our sense of presence, as well as a bit of wisdom. And even more important, I think, is accepting what is true, what is real. There is wisdom to accept what is. And sometimes we don't want to accept what is. Sometimes it's really hard to look at it and see it. But when we can do that, it will give us some freedom, because denying what's real simply leads to more suffering. These are some Buddhist ideas here. I've taken ideas from a lot of different resources. So trying to look at what is real. And I often say, just to be with what is, even though I don't always like what is. I find I can be much more settled and calm when I can look at what is. Than when I try to pretend doesn't exist. And then some other ideas are, along with mindfulness, building our character can be a great resource for developing some wisdom. Qualities such as compassion, love, truthfulness, harmony, peacefulness, humility are all avenues towards some wisdom. And one of the reasons that I took this on was I'd like to learn how to develop some more wisdom. And I think it's best yet if we can offer some of those qualities to ourselves. We're all a work in progress. None of us have, well, a lot of us are probably not complete. But so since we're a work in progress, if we can offer ourselves some compassion and love and harmony and peacefulness, all of those that I just spoke to, it's going to help us to be able to work towards being a wiser self. And we often need some compassion in order to keep offering it to other people. We need to be kind to ourselves as well as to others. Other qualities of a wise person include equanimity, which is simply a perfect, unshakable balance of mind. And I try to achieve that, and I can occasionally, but I've not been able to stay there. But working towards that perfect, unshakable balance of mind is a way of working towards developing some wisdom. Spaciousness is another quality. The spacious mind has room for everything. It's like the space in a room, which is never harmed when things go in and out of it. And in just the same way that things can go in and out of a room, new ideas, thoughts, beliefs, opinions can simply pass our spacious mind. It enhances us. It doesn't damage us. Even the ideas that we don't believe in or don't like, to hear them, to listen to them, I guess to make some judgments on them after we've examined them. But letting the ideas in can be helpful. Problem, though, I find sometimes is that a lot of questions don't have answers or don't have good answers. There's an awful lot we don't know. So we often have to tolerate the unknown. And I suspect that building a tolerance for the unknown can also be a part of wisdom. Because I think it's always going to be something there. I found lots of definitions of wisdom, and they each include things like knowledge, experience, good judgment. But the ability to navigate the complexities of life also involves discernment, insight, ethical considerations, sagacity, or in other words, keen perception, shrewdness, farsightedness, and judiciousness when decisions are being made. It goes well beyond simple decision making. It also requires understanding and management of our own emotions. A wise person understands their own emotions and is in charge of their own emotions. They don't let that control them. A wise person who's in a powerful position, who's meant to make decisions that benefit a whole group of people, would not make decisions that benefit them personally at the expense of others. They would decide justly between what's true and what's false, what's proper and what's improper, in a prudent way with no discrimination. I fear that doesn't always happen in our world. Some of our group leaders do not all act in a wise way at times, which is frightening. And then a last idea set is that wisdom requires sentience, the capacity to have subjective experiences, emotions, positive and negative sensations such as pain, joy, pleasure, suffering, all of which are a basic form of consciousness. These enable an organism to be affected by its environment and have its own point of view, not a mere mechanical reaction. And yes, I think I'm speaking of the intelligence that we find in AI. There is an intellect there, but it's not the intellect of wisdom, which requires far more. And I would love to hear any ideas or thoughts of anything of what I've just been speaking so that we can explore this together. In fact, I'm going to need some input and some exploration. Are there any of the particular points that I brought up? Something that strikes you in any particular way? Can you think of any wise people in your life? And what it is that makes them wise?
Nancy Mary had her hand up.
I missed it. Hi, Mary.
That's okay. Good morning. I was thinking of discernment as possibly connected to focusing, and I'm curious if any of your studies, what did you feel connected to focusing about wisdom?
For me, I think that focusing brings me to a deeper sense of myself, a deeper place within myself that has an internal wisdom of some sort. And I'm often surprised by what comes. Yeah, it's a great source of new ideas for me.
And that was a great question, Mary. That idea that we have wisdom, that we all have wisdom on that deeper level, and that focusing can help us to get there. I was thinking, Nancy, as you were speaking, oh, I don't have this discernment, and I don't have this equanimity, and all the things you were saying. I was saying, oh no, I don't have that. But then I was thinking about the moments in focusing where something opens up, and then it's like you're in a place of wisdom in that deeper space. And although you can't have all those things, or I can't have all those things all the time, in that moment, something opens up that's a kind of atmosphere of wisdom or something.
Yeah, and it's a lovely place to be when I can be there. But I haven't found a way of being there on a steady basis.
Right, all the time, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Liphw. Can you, what would you like to say?
My name is actually Lip.
Lip.
Lip, as in live in peace. Li, live in peace.
Live. Live.
Uh,
Oh, wow, what a wonderful name. Live.
it's, no. I like to use Jensen's approach in the sense of not so much thinking about wisdom as reflecting on being wise and wiser. I think it's a process. It is wise to sense that being wise and wiser is a process which, in terms of focusing and reaching into ourselves, is to know that we have enough experiences to draw on when we are asking ourselves, so that know thyself is actually not quite true. It's knowing that we are connected and ever developing, and to build rich experiences through study of different traditions, discerning what from our experience we can trust is closer to being wise. So my criterion of being wise, which refers really to wise choices and decisions and attitudes and being, wise being, depends on reducing suffering and enhancing beautiful. The word beautiful for me is very closely related to wisdom, to being wise, because what is wise is almost always what's beautiful. So I usually ask myself, what can be more beautiful here, which is almost equivalent to what would be wise to do here. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
EJ has her hand up, I think.
I think so too. What can you offer us, BJ?
First, I'd like to say thank you to Liv. Your words about knowing ourselves being a beginning place for the steps in becoming wise. And you're talking about what is beautiful and what is wise in our own experience is really beautiful. And then, Nancy, I want to thank you for being our glue today. I remember the first time I ever focused with you, Nancy, was years ago, and you were sitting in front of that painting. I've told you this before, and you don't remember it, but you said, when I think of Lynn, I think of the little rose petals that she drops along the path. And for as long as I have left to live, I would like to do that as well. And what a gift you are to us, and you bring wisdom to us. I have one question for you, and that is, I know that you have several children, and I can't really imagine it. And I see you laughing, Bob. I can't really imagine it. So I would love to hear you speak from your experience about the wisdom of being with adult children, our adult children.
That's challenging because they are each so different, and they're different in different times and in different places. So I find I may respond to them differently at different times, depending on what their needs are, or what their feelings are, and looking at my own feelings regarding it. One of my sons was mad at me and didn't talk to me for a couple of years. That was very difficult.
Mm.
But that has changed. And what I did with that adult child who I love dearly, and it always been a helpful, present kid, adult, very much adult. I just kept contacting him and letting him know how much I loved him and how much I'd love to get together. At first, I tried to figure out why. Then I asked questions and that sort of thing. And then I just went to, I love you. And I'd like to have a relationship. So in that situation, that was that. I have another daughter who's got some different ideas and different beliefs that what I have. And I don't know that I understand them fully, but I've listened to them. And it's helpful to just listen to the children and their ideas and take them in. I might agree with some of them and I might not agree with some of them. But I love the young woman who's not really so young any longer. She's in her 60s. It's hard to believe. But the listening and the being with her is wonderfully connecting and feels wonderfully loving. So I think that a lot of Leonardo da Vinci had some wonderful ideas as far as, first of all, exploring my own beliefs. And I don't have to get stuck in any one set of beliefs. I can listen to other people. I do have that spacious mind a lot of the time. I can use that spacious mind and let ideas come in, kind of check them out. Some of them I take right in, and some of them I let keep on passing through. But like he said at some point, it's the importance of looking at the true nature of something and somebody sometimes, but before we make a judgment on anything. And there's just so many things I don't know. So I can listen, I can hear the ideas and try to look at their true nature and then go from there. So those are just a couple of the kids. It's a little different with everyone. Some are just easy.
Thank you, Nancy. The thing that's most powerful that I heard you say for me is there's a lot of wisdom in recognizing all I don't know.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
And it's hard.
Thank you, Nancy, for sharing something so personal. I really appreciate connected to the listening, that power of really truly listening or truly understanding from the other's perspective, right? The other ways that I get to wisdom, I feel wisdom is when I read certain poetry. Like when I read Rumi, I just feel so much wisdom, like a connection to something so spacious, right? So large, so that I've lived through how many centuries? He was 12 or 13 centuries, I think.
Century, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, the legacy he's carrying forward. Right? So there's a lot of wisdom there in allowing that space. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that topic. I often am asked about that because my name, in Greek means wisdom.
Ah, lovely.
Sophia, Sophie. So it's a subject that comes. But yeah, it was nice to you. So you refer to um, an artist way of seeing wisdom. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody has her hand up and I can't.
Oh, Teresa.
Teresa, I couldn't see your name, Teresa.
We can't hear you. Could you yeah.
There we go. Yeah, hi.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. It's actually it's pronounced Therese without an A at the end. And I come to focusing. I'm new to this group, and I come to focusing through biospiritual focusing, and I'm so struck sitting here this morning at how Peter Campbell and Ed McMahon, who developed biospiritual focusing, in their work talk so much about the wisdom of the body, which I knew nothing about until I started practicing biospiritual focusing 5 years ago. And just in the practice of it, have come to find really the meaning of that word, how wise the body is when you enter down into it in the practice of focusing the connectedness, the sense of being at one, the not having to go back and forth about should I this and arguing things is just like there. And most of all, the wisdom that I never knew before I did biospiritual focusing, the bodily feeling of loving myself and having compassion for myself. I certainly, espoused, yes, of course, we should love ourselves and be kind to yourself and be gentle with yourself. But I never, ever felt the feeling in my body, which is like wisdom above all, I think. Self-love and self-compassion. It's changed my life deeply.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you, Teresa.
It has mine. It has mine too.
That idea of the wisdom of the body. And I just was struck by what Sophie said about wisdom being this connection with the bigger, with the unknown, as opposed to knowledge, which is in my mind much more earthly. Wisdom has this connection to the broader, and then the wisdom through the body. Wow.
Oh, and
Marvin.
Marvin, yes, Marvin.
Oh, we can't hear you. And you're muted.
We don't hear you,
Hi,
Marvin.
can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
can.
That's
Hi,
better.
everyone. Thank you very much, and thanks, Nancy. I'd like to try something from that phrase from Leonardo da Vinci that he quoted saying, "Understand the true nature of somebody and something before judging it." And at first, my attention was towards understanding the true nature. I was battling the word nature or the word of true nature. What's the true nature?
Mm.
And then I realized that there was something else. There was that word understanding itself. What is it, what is it about? What is understanding? How much close to truth can we get when we understand? What comes to my mind is you have to become that thing to understand it. Let's say if we connect to nature and we say water, I would need to become water. But I cannot become water, I'm a human. So how close to can I be to understand it? So last thing I would share is about that word focusing itself. How can something understand itself? Like focusing, understand what is focusing. It might need defocusing. Just a little bit so that you're as close to it as possible to experience what it is. Because, like say, if I go back to water, water doesn't know it's water. It's a bit strange. But human can say water. We can give it quite a few descriptions and share experiences that will allow us to come as close as possible to what water is. So the same might apply to actually understanding. What is understanding? So we have to become understanding. But how much can we become understanding? Through focusing, definitely we will apply, we will maybe be understanding through focusing, but how to come to understand it? Maybe we need to defocus, be slightly on the side of it or beyond it or before it. Yeah, just trying to formulate a few things here.
Thank you, Marvin. What came to me from what you said is Jane's idea of the zigzag, that you become something, and then you have a little distance from it, and you find that what I call zooming out and zooming in, and experimenting with the distance between you and the something that you're trying to understand.
Marvin, that's really interesting, the defocusing and that sense that we are not water or we are not the other. If I come from the place where I am made of cosmos and everything that's out there, then there is something in me that I can reach to that is water or is the other. And the defocusing is interesting. I had a really important teacher in my life that talked about decentering as a centering process, you know. So I hadn't thought about defocusing as a zigzagging or zooming in out of the focusing. That's really interesting. Thank you for those views.
Liz, thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to bring a very different lens on wisdom because I have a daughter with special needs, and I never quite realized what special needs meant. So she's now 48 years old. But when she was 3, she looked at me one day when I was very frustrated, and she said to me, "You're lucky to have me."
Hmm.
And on another occasion, she lives in community, and somebody in the community was seriously ill, and they didn't know what the diagnosis was. So Andrea held Stephen's hand and said, "Waiting takes a long time."
Hmm.
And that, to me, that's the most profound wisdom, coming unfiltered in the right moment with no expectation for a response. So that's my other lens of what wisdom
That's
lives.
beautiful. Wisdom also is something that you recognize, like when your daughter said that, Liz, you recognize that as wisdom and impacts you in an emotional way. It's maybe that place that's not just intellectual, but you can really touch it and feel it, and it draws you and it touches you. There was a song that they used to sing in this encounter group community, Opening the Heart. And my friend Neil Friedman used to work with that community. And the song was, it's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us to be wise. And I used to love that song, and he would sing it off key, and I love that. But there's that feeling of the wisdom being opening the heart to all that you know that you can't know.
Thank you, Lynn, for bringing that song. It brings back lots of memory. It's in every one of us.
I didn't know anybody else knew that song. So.
Oh, yes, part of the heart, opening the heart workshops, but also knowing Neil, yes, as well.
I know it. It's lovely.
Ah.
What a lovely concept, opening up the heart to the wisdom. And I think that's so much a deep part of wisdom.
Listening to this, I'm reminded that wisdom can be a hand that's open, not a fist that's closed with knowledge and expertise.
Mm-hmm. One of my students years ago when I was teaching focusing couldn't understand it, and then all of a sudden she got it, and she said, oh, focusing is knowing what you don't know that you know.
Knowing that you don't know what you know.
Knowing what you don't know that you know.
Mm-hmm.
We can't know it in a concrete linear way, but we know it with our hearts.
In our gut.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Any other ideas on these definitions of wisdom and what wisdom should, how it should work and how it should enhance relationships? I guess oh, well, I've got some hands. Lift you. Please.
Hello, Nancy. Hello, everyone. The conversation is very moving, but there is something that really touches me deeply when I'm able to sense it or perceive it, which everything you have said and shared with us is beautiful, but there's something more to me that is significant. And maybe because I'm a phys ed teacher and a Feldenkrais practitioner, which is always based on movement and action, you did something that brought us all here, which I believe is more important than the content in itself, which is still very important. It's the decision or the perception or the feeling that you had that brought you to investigate this and to dive into it and to do it? You know, because we're in groups and we talk about so much magnificent things, but then what we do? What do we do? You know, is it only, I'm sure it's not, but how do we take it in and then dive in the way that you've done and go deeply in something that fascinates us until something bright comes out of it, which Lip said, you know, beauty. I think for me, beauty, what touches me is that I'm taking the time to really feel what beauty is. And the only way to do that is to have the intention of wanting to experience it concretely. Not only, well, I'm just saying not only, I'm not saying we're doing that, but for me, sometimes I hear what you're saying right now, and, you know, I could close Zoom after the meeting and go do my life. But what if it stayed with me? I started acting on it and diving into it for myself and investigating how it feels to do what you've done and to keep on doing it together. That for me is like, wow, that's being the change we want to see in the world. Active people moving towards beauty in action. And so thank you. Thank you for having taken the dive into something that was maybe passionate for you. And that's the gift for me that you're giving me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for saying that.
I think, Liv, do you have your hand up, or was that from before?
Yes. Following what Michael said, I sense that being wise is a felt experience. It's not a thinking process. And like the sense of what's beautiful is felt, so it's wise. And it includes this process of differentiating, to tease out what's different here, what's different there. Differentiate, which is discerning, but also it includes an integrating of absorbing what the differences are. Just like different shades of variation of something helps you. Wisdom being, when I felt being wise, there was an intricacy in it. There was a complexity as well as simplicity built in. It's difficult to describe, but as I said before, almost inherently, what's beautiful is wise, and what is wise is beautiful. It's something you felt. I mean, we're not talking about just physical beauty. There's moral beauty. It's also related to touch. I'm touched when I felt something beautiful or wise. I move. Michael was saying about movement. Yeah, and it has to be felt. It's because I felt sent.
Thank you.
It has to be lived. It's a lived quality.
It's
not intellectual. It's never intellectual. You will feel it when something is wise or wiser. It's a feeling. Thank you. I don't say too much.
I love that. Maybe we could just take that in for a second. The idea that wisdom is something that's felt, something that's lived. We might say wisdom is a feeling. It's not only a feeling, but that it's being moved, as Mikhail says, to it's an action, it brings in the intellect, but it's also a feeling. And we can maybe look for that feeling in moments when we need wisdom and things are very complex. It's a feeling of honoring the complexity that you're talking about, Liv, that sense of the intricacy. I was noticing, Nancy, when you were talking about Aristotle and Leonardo da Vinci, that it was more intellectual. And I think the focusing, well, not just the focusing, of course, but since we're a focusing group, it is the focusing that brings in the emotional body aspect of wisdom that I think is more contemporary, although that's just a thought. It may not be true.
But I think that feelings definitely are a part of wisdom. A wise person does have to know what on earth is going on inside with their feelings. Marianne, what would you like to say? Oh, you're muted.
What got me to want to say something is the comments you had about your children and each one being different and each one needing a different wisdom in me to relate to them. And what I've noticed is that I cannot pass on wisdom. No matter how much I know what they might be doing wrong or how they might be doing better based on my lived experience, they cannot take that in. So what has come up for me in reflecting is that for me, wisdom is my lived, cumulative lived experience, being able to be present with what is and tolerate the unknown at the same time, which is a tall ask. Usually, our need for certainty, our ego's way of trying to feel safe, makes it very difficult for us to tolerate the unknown. So what I have noticed that over time, my wisdom, as I reflect back, is greater capacity to be with the unknown as the being with at the same time. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
It is a difficult place to be, but it's freeing at the same time. Yeah. Teresa.
Therese.
Okay, you're muted. You're muted, Teresa.
There we go. Okay. I just want to repeat, it is Therese because it gets contagious, and then all my world is calling me Teresa before I know it. So I just repeat that. Since I moved to New York, that is. I just wanted to comment on the connection between wisdom and feeling that occurred to me after listening to the Lynn and I forget it, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Lipu?
Lip.
Live.
Oh,
Live.
lip.
Okay.
Lip
After
in peace. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. After listening to you two speak, it occurred to me that the connection between wisdom and feeling, when I'm focusing, it's when I reach that felt sense that I come to wisdom.
Hmm. Right.
It somehow allows us to go to it, to see it and recognize it. Yeah. In a deeper fashion. And that's that deep diving and scrutinizing ourselves and our own beliefs is a big part of what Leonardo has to say, that we really need to do. Not just, this is my belief and I'm not changing it, but to explore a whole bunch of things. And even though we allow ideas in that we didn't have any beliefs in, It's not going to change us. Just to use that spacious mind concept and allow the ideas to come in, check them out, get an idea of their true nature. Take what you like and leave the rest, like an AA.
I was so impressed with how Gene Genlin would be open to all kinds of ideas. And the way that he would do it, I was to ask himself, what would it mean if this were true? And so he, as a Jew that had escaped from Vienna as a child, went to a Christian college, a Catholic college, and where they were talking about Jesus dying for your sins. And so Gene Genlin would say, well, what would it mean if this were true? And rather than evaluating, is this true or not true, to say, what could be the truth in that? How would that be? How would it work like that? To find the deeper place in it, which I thought was very wise.
Should we consider going into breakup rooms?
Yes, I think this is the time.
Ooh,
20 minutes or 15 minutes? What do you say, Nancy?
15.
What do you think, 15 or 20?
Well, let's do 15 and then we'll have that last 10 minutes before our poem to reconnect.
Okay, let's give it.
Okay. We have good seeds for discussion here.
I would love to hear what people came to regarding wisdom or anything else in your small groups.
Well, in my group, it was so inspiring to hear about the wisdom in movement. And my quote that I love, similar to Jinlin's, is Wilhelm Reich's idea that everyone is right in some way, and the task is understanding how they might be right.
Is understanding how they might be
correct. That the
correct.
idea that to be curious about how, how each person could be right somehow.
Ah,
I know that quote too, but I always heard it backwards, that everybody thinks they're right all the time.
Great, Jim.
or hopes they're right.
I missed that. Can you say it again? I don't want to miss a joke of Jim's.
Well, Wilhelm Reich said that everyone is right in some way. And I remember reading that, I was 20 or something like that, and writing it down in my book of wisdom. But I used to think of it as everybody goes around thinking they're right all the time. Because that's probably not what he meant.
So the end of your version, Jim, would be, so the task is how to tell everyone how they are wrong, right?
Spit in their soup.
I'm never going to live that down.
Can everyone be right in some ways? Sometimes.
Well, I think that is that sense of the deeper place that Jean was talking about, where there's something that the person is speaking from that has its own rightness. It's like finding its rightness.
Yeah, I think there's also knowing that they're experiencing it as rightness. And instead of taking it the way you hear it, take it the way they mean it.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Well,
Right.
people will talk about my truth, and then you can't say anything back because
Oh my.
it's my truth, mic drop.
My.
Well, I think that is the perfect place for a focusing question when someone says, "That's my truth," to say, say more about that. What is the truth there?
Mm.
Truth that's really yours.
Mm-hmm.
I like
What
to
makes it
offer-
anyone's truth? What do you have to say?
I like to offer something that come out in our group. Bob was mentioning about his spending time with his older sister in a hospital, and then hearing his story, I come up with this sense, a reminder of this beautiful word in our language that we often don't give enough attention to, and that word. And it's one word, it's not two words. It sounds like two words, but it's actually one word. It is bitter sweet. When I think it is part of being wise to realize that part of being living a human life is that it is bitter sweet, and it's more bitter sweet than sweet bitter. I like to think that it is bitter sweet rings through and rings beautiful, and accepting that enlarges what Bob was saying, that it makes him feel larger, to encompass the joys and suffering of being human. Bittersweet is a beautiful word, and it is a wise thing to open up to.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I see your beautiful smile. Is there anything you have there about wisdom?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just appreciating the wonderfulness of this topic. Liv, you just really hit something also too. Yeah. And I think in our breakout group, just the idea of how can I be wise in judgment? How can I be wise in conflict with an individual? So yeah, I'm going to really be thinking a lot about that this week. So just really appreciating it. That's it.
Anyone else? What is there about this wisdom thing that strikes you? How can you gain a bit of wisdom? Shashi, what thoughts do you have? I'm going to pick on you.
Poor Sashi.
Wise today. I'm going to be wise today. And I have no simple way of doing it. It's not so simple, but it's simple. So, yeah, I really enjoyed listening to all the perspectives of Da Vinci, especially. I think he has a wider lens than, because he defined knowledge and all those other things. So I learned a lot from you, Nancy. It's a wonderfully presented content that you gave, and not everybody's talking because they're all thinking now. They're all like digesting what you said. They're all thinking about it. They are mulling on it. So it's a topic that needs to be thought about and to remain mindful of. And, it's wonderful. Thank you.
A topic that affects so many of us in so many different ways. And it's hard sometimes to accept the judgment of other people when we don't think it's so accurate. Did I hear a voice?
Well, when you said that, Nancy, it reminded me that for me, wisdom is when I hear the judgment of other people and I don't think it's that accurate. It's that place of opening to the larger of the message, and that's, I think wisdom is an opening of our lens, and it's very hard to do that when you're sort of triggered. If somebody says something you think isn't right, it's like, ah! And it's very hard to be wise from that place. You have to go, and it's so bodily, to let the wisdom in.
And one person's wisdom could be different to another's idea of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wish though life would be sweet bitter than bittersweet. The way Liv has said, he likes bittersweet. Because maybe it's all suffering now. I like it to be sweet bitter. How can we make it sweet even when it's bitter? And what's wisdom?
We can find the sweetness in the lemonade.
I wouldn't like it to be just sweet, and I wouldn't like the balance of sweet and bitter. But I think it's the combination. It's actually one word. It's an integral feeling, bittersweet. It's not separable. It's actually embodied as one, bittersweet. And it's beautiful that our language has that one word. It is not hyphenated. It is not dash. It is one word, bittersweet. And it is not, as I emphasized earlier, it's not sweet, bitter.
Well,
There's a distinction there.
Being one word for me, it creates movement, like warm air and cold air creates movement. So bittersweet is a process of making us move. If it's only sweet, it's interesting, we stay there. Or if it's bitter, we have an attitude. But bittersweet makes movement. It activates us. It challenges us to open up and try new things.
We need difficulties.
Yes.
As
Thank
much
you for
as,
that.
Yes, we need difficulties. The seed needs to grow through the soil to sprout out. It needs that. I need it. I feel I need
it. But is the wisdom churning butter? Is the wisdom that is wisdom is the product of that movement? Is that how it comes?
Good question.
Yes, in some sense, but it need not always have resistance, because beautiful it's also calling us to be wise. So to embrace and sense the beautiful is wise. We need to be wise up to what is beautifully human. It's inherent in us. It really is. We have a sense of beauty.
I think this.
I don't want to decry the animal kingdom, but it is human. That's why we have art, we have music, we have finesse in language. It is inherently, human beings are inherently wise and beautiful. It is part of being fully human.
Thank
No,
you so much, Liv. I think
Oh,
we're
we're
just getting going here, but we're going to need to stop, and we have 2 poems. So I love this conversation. I wish that we could just continue it, and maybe we'll have
next
two.
week.
Yes, right. Okay, Dorothy, are you ready for our poems?
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's the lightness and the wisdom of children, and at the end, the adults. It's an E.E. Cummings poem called Maggie and Millie and Molly and May. Maggie and Millie and Molly and May went down to the beach to play one day. And Maggie discovered a shell that sang so sweetly she couldn't remember her troubles. And Millie befriended a stranded star whose rays 5 languid fingers were. And Molly was chased by a horrible thing which raced sideways while blowing bubbles. And May came home with a smooth round stone, as small as a world and as large as a loan. For whatever we lose, like a you or a me, it's always ourselves we find in the sea.
Wow.
Thank you, Dorothy.
And I think, Liv, you had a poem also to read us?
Yes, it's a very short poem. Yes. And it's a recent poem. The title is Our Time to Contribute. Our time to contribute. Still water, clear reflection, open sky. Still water, clear reflections, open sky. Each moment, a space to refresh. Each moment, a space to refresh. For the next step, for humanity, together. Each moment, a space to refresh. For the next step, for humanity, together is our time to contribute.
Well, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week.
Nancy. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for contributing and helping me out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Nancy.
Thank you,
You're lovely.
Nancy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.